Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Snakebite. We have a ton to cover. It's an April Fool's edition, so make sure to stay tuned for any hijinks. Let's roll the intro. And normally, we like to start the episode highlighting the top team or top performance coming into the week. But unfortunately this week, the #1 University of Tampa Spartans, they were undefeated in in-conference play when they made it to historic Henley, and they were just too much for the Mocs to handle. April Fools, the Mocs handled the Spartans, and they made them look like fools, where the Mocs were the first team to pick up back-to-back wins versus the Spartans since 2023, and their first back-to-back wins versus Tampa since 2021, snapping a 6-game losing streak. The Mocs started off the series with another dominant showing in the opening game from Sachin Ramos and SSC Offensive Player of the Week, Mikey Scott, to secure head coach Rick Odette's 700th career win. You can count it. Scott kicked off the scoring with a 2-run homer in the first, setting the tone for the rest of the game, where Ramos was dealing, going 7 innings and allowing just 2 runs, finding his way out of a number of jams throughout, and the Mocs bats, they were going. The Mocs came out on top with a 6-3 win, giving them momentum that they carried over into the doubleheader Saturday, where the Mocs ruined Tampa aces Skylar Gonzalez's perfect streak at Tampa, handing him his first career collegiate loss. Too bad. The Mocs put 10 runs on his head with Ahmad Fitz, finding home run number 6 of the season in a 3-run shot that made the Mocs lead untouchable in the 11-8 win, setting the Mocs' sights on a series sweep versus Tampa for the first time since 1984, a little bit before my time. Unfortunately, the Mocs were not able to get the bats going in that third game, going quiet, despite late inning comeback attempts from Florida Southern as they dropped the last game 3-4. Despite the Mocs winning the series, they sit just 1 game behind the Spartans in second place in the SSC standings. This was a statement series for the Mocs, who have put the SSC and the nation on notice for this season. D2 Baseball ranks them #4 nationally right now. More results for rankings come out Wednesday, and they're looking like the Mocs of old for the program, with them being the program tied for the most D2 national championships with, you guessed it, the University of Tampa, each school with 9 apiece. The Mocs have Nova tonight at home. Pull up to Henley or tune in on the SSC Digital Network. I'll be on the mic, and it will be can't miss baseball.
The #5 women's lacrosse team finally met their match as the #1 University of Spartans pulled out a 12-8 win. Despite 4 goals from Abby McPherson, the Spartans were able to limit the Florida Southern's offense during the loss. The Mocs bounced back strong in their dominant showing against Palm Beach Atlantic, winning 21-9 on senior night. The offense was rolling early with 7 goals in the first quarter. The offense outscored PBA in every quarter, including an 8-0 third. Gianna Murphy led the way, putting up 6 goals in the bounce-back win. The ladies will be challenged with 5 ranked opponents to close out the season, starting with #3 Lynn University, coming into town tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. The Mocs will look to set the record straight and take down a strong ranked opponent. You can find results on fscmocs.com and tune in live on the Sunshine State Conference.
And both track teams brought up their top 10K runners to St. Louis, Missouri to take on some of the top Division II teams in the country at the Washington University Distance Carnival, and not too much happened. Okay, that's the end of the April Fool's joke. So the men were led per usual by Christian Giller, where he ran the first provisional time for the men's team this outdoor season, finishing the 10K distance in 29 minutes and 45 seconds. Good for 7th overall in the competition. Giller's 29:45 is the second fastest time ever by a Moc, only behind former Division II national qualifier in the 10K and 2024 Olympic Marathon Trials qualifier Mason Jones. Christopher Colavita also found a top 10 time in the 10K for the Mocs, running the 7th fastest time by a Moc with his 30:38. For the men, Elijah De La Cerda made sure the ink stayed wet on the record books, running 9:21 in his FSC 3K steeple debut, cementing himself as the 2nd fastest Moc ever over the distance while running the 6th fastest time ever. Mitchell Kozik is the only Moc to run faster in the 3K steeple, with his name all across the record books. Ladies took care of business too, though. Emma Moose Musante led the way again in the 10K, this time securing her 2nd provisional time of the outdoor season and career, running 36:40 flat for the 10K, the fastest time in program history. Both teams will travel to Embry-Riddle to race this weekend with a handful of men taking on the middle distances in Gainesville at the Pepsi Relays against top D1 and professional competitors.
The softball team struggled this past week, going 0 for 5 since our last show. Opponents found runs in bunches as the Mocs played some of the top teams in the country in their 2-game series versus the University of West Florida Argonauts and the 32-1 #1 University of Tampa Spartans. In the first series against the Argonauts, the Mocs were mercied in the first game 9-0 before just missing the mark in a 3-0 loss in the second. Unfortunately, the offense continued to struggle to find its stride against arguably the top pitching team in the country when the Mocs traveled down to Tampa, remaining runless for the third straight game in the 8-0 Mercy Rule loss. The Mocs found a run in the next one, but suffered the same fate before they mixed things up in the circle, throwing in third baseman Shelby Valencia. Shelby shined, holding the Spartans to their second fewest run in regulations with 2. But the team's bats continued to struggle with the Mocs finding just 1 run. Kate Michael was the Moc who batted in both runs in the final 2 games versus Tampa. But Gabby Young was the star of the offense with her return to the leadoff spot and finding 2 hits in each game against Tampa. They'll return to action this Friday at home versus St. Leo with a doubleheader Saturday where fans are encouraged to wear pink for breast cancer awareness at Chris Bellato Field.
And the men's lacrosse team showed their clutch gene against Palm Beach Atlantic in a 16-11 nail-biter this weekend. I promise, no April Fool's jokes. In the win, the Mocs came in searching for their first road and first in-conference win of the season against the receiving vote Sailfish. Initially, it looked like it was going to be another close loss on deck for Florida Southern as they just couldn't separate from the Sailfish early, finding themselves down or even at half and then down going into the fourth. But that's when the tides changed. The Mocs offense exploded in the fourth, finding 9 goals and holding the Sailfish to just 1. In the win, Jacob Ches, one of the players of the week for the Mocs in men's lacrosse, continued his dominance in the face-off circle, winning 13 out of 18 against the Sailfish. His success didn't end there, though. He also directly contributed to the 16 Mocs points with a goal of his own for the 3rd game in a row. We've been keeping a tally, and we can call it a streak now. The offense was defined by a big 3 of goal scorers who accounted for over half of the team's points. Christian Kent and Nolan Tithe led the way with their goal scoring, each securing a hat trick. Ty's was his 2nd of the season, but these 2 weren't the only ones, like I mentioned. A big 3 for the offensive engine going with Bryden Robichaud facilitating the comeback with 2 goals and 3 assists in the game. Michael Simone, the defensive player of the week in the SSC, like the rest of the Mocs, locked in the fourth to have a terrific night, finding 13 saves in his 9th double-digit save game of the season. The Mocs now sit at 3-7 on the season and 1-2 in conference play. They will hope to continue to succeed in their next game on the road against Rollins College tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
The women's tennis team suffered their first loss since February 22nd, falling to SSC opponent Lynn University 4-3. The 11-game win streak was the longest since 2013 when the Mocs won 13 straight. The team will be on the road for a matchup with Eckerd College on April 3rd before defending home court against Barry University on April 5th. The men's tennis team is also on the road taking on Lynn University this afternoon after weather forced the match to be rescheduled. Check fscmocs.com for all match info.
Beach volleyball didn't waste any time in their 2 bounce-back games this past week, dominating Wake Technical Community College and St. John's Community College, sweeping both. They'll return to action this weekend for Senior Day versus Lake Sumter Community College and Palm Beach State College at home. After Senior Day, it'll be time for the first ever SSC Championships in beach volleyball, where the Mocs will be hunting for the SSC crown. And again, big shout-outs to all the conference players of the week. Christian Giller, one of the ones who I didn't mention, and he's also the leader in the 10K. Christopher Colavita, 2nd best in the conference over the 10K distance, and the Mocs have a number of top runners in pretty much every event. One of those on the women's side, also Emma Musante, 2nd in the 10K. But we can't forget about the golf teams who have been great. Men's golf, they had their competition canceled today. In the Battle of the Shores down in Miami Shores. It got washed out, but the women's team, they're on the road right now at the Lynn Invitational in Boca Raton. That took place during our production time and should be wrapping up by the time you see this, so make sure to check fscmocs.com and check out the Snakebite next week. I don't know how many jokes we'll have, but we'll have another episode for you and can't wait for you to watch.